I've published several videos on the many failures of accessibility overlays, but in this presentation, I will focus in on the security vulnerabilities that overlays can present. And this video comes about because of a trending Google search. So the trending search was Chinese hacker cyber attack, and I clicked on the news article. And as I was scrolling down the news article, I noticed that there was an accessibility overlay logo. And so on the screen with me is a screenshot from the page, and the headline is US says it disrupted a China cyber threat, but warns hackers could still wreak havoc for Americans. And then I've got an arrow pointing to the overlay logo. So this says overlays being a security risk has been known for quite some time. I'm not saying anything new. And in fact, I have a few screenshots that illustrate this point. The first is from gratzergraphics.com, and I will include links to all of these websites below. But on this screenshot, it says overlays can be a security issue. Using a web accessibility overlay can open up your website to a potential security issue because of the inserted JavaScript. Does the overlay company securely maintain their servers? Will they report any found security issues? What if your website gets hacked? Who will clean it up and at whose cost? And then the next screenshot is from loweb.com, Loeb.com. And this is a law firm, Loeb and Loeb LLP. And it says, understanding how adding the solution can impact other liability risks. Because of the interplay between websites and overlays, the security of a website is often tied directly to the security of the overlay. In other words, the security vulnerabilities of the overlay become the security vulnerabilities of the website operator, along with the concurrent legal and business liability risks. And in this final screenshot, I have it's from canopy.com, Kanopi.com, and it says they increase your site's security risk. Anytime you load a third-party script onto your site, you are putting part of your site's safety in the hands of the vendor. If their server is insecure, then you could be directly impacted. And so the overlay security overview here is that overlays are third-party scripts that are executed on your website. This means you are trusting external code that you have no control over to execute in your website environment. And then now I have a screenshot from darkreading.com. And I include this screenshot because it really just emphasizes what we've been talking about. And in this selection, it says typically when a web page calls on a third party script, it is loaded directly into a browser from an external server belonging to the third party. This means the script bypasses controls such as perimeter and web application firewalls and networking monitoring tools, according to the security vendor. So it's referencing a security vendor. The process gives threat actors a way to introduce malicious code into the environment via third-party scripts. The problem is exacerbated by the fact that developers of third-party scripts often include code from other developers that in many cases have source code from another developer's source defense said. And so I will include links to all of these resources in the description. But continuing on, so what's the problem here? Well, the problem is overlays can introduce security vulnerabilities to your website. And one way they can do so is because there is more attack surface. So any external script you add to a website increases the attack surface. So it's just like another way, another potential way that your website can be attacked. So even if the script is secure, interactions with other scripts or parts of the website opens the door to new potential vulnerabilities. Another problem is it's a third-party script execution. So JavaScript for overlays is loaded from the overlay vendor's servers. If the overlay vendor servers are hacked, malicious code can be injected into your website. Also, with security updates, if the overlay company does not regularly update their script to address new vulnerabilities, or if the website owner does not update to the latest version of the overlay, this leaves vulnerabilities unpatched. And then there's also cross-site scripting, also referred to as XSS. So overlay widgets can be susceptible to XSS attacks where malicious scripts can be injected into the web page through the widget. So for example, if the widget pulls content from a URL parameter or input field without checking for harmful scripts, this can give rise to malicious code being injected. And this has already happened. So this is nothing new. When you use third-party scripts, you are at the mercy of that third-party code. So there was one large hack was with Ticketmaster. And then so I have a screenshot from a website, and I'll read it, it says, which is all bad news, of course, but how did the breach happen in the first place? It appears that the malware was introduced to Ticketmaster's site via a piece of external third-party code from Inbinta, a technology company that provides online chatbot and support ticketing services for websites. As soon as Ticketmaster recognized the issue, it disabled Inbinta's code across all of its websites. In a statement, Inbinta said that the source of the data breach was a single piece of JavaScript code that had been customized specifically for Ticketmaster's purposes. The code, Inbinta says, it is not in use on any other company's websites. And then, so I continue on with the screenshot because there was more language I wanted to include. It says, Inbinta says it has now resolved the vulnerability, but not before attempting to pass some of the blame onto Ticketmaster for using its risky code on a payment page. And so there's a quote from Inbinta that says, Ticketmaster directly applied the script to its payments page without notifying our team. Had we known that the customized script was being used this way, we would have advised against it as it incurs greater risk for vulnerability. The attackers located, modified, and used the script to extract the payment information of Ticketmaster customers processed between February and June 2018. And then the article continues, although it's obviously trying to pass the buck, and Inbinta certainly has a point, embedding third-party JavaScript onto an online payments page introduces risks. After all, if the third-party code gets compromised, there's a danger that online criminals could use it to secretly steal payment card information. And these screenshots are all from bitdefender.com. So this is the last slide in the presentation. Are overlays worth it? We haven't even got to the accessibility side, and I'm not going to get into that. There are other videos on this, and then I've got a host of websites that are excellent resources to find out all about overlays, and they are overlayfalseclaims.com, overlaysdon'twork.com, overlayfactsheet.com, and then just search overlays plus Adrian Rosselli. Adrian Rosselli is an accessibility expert, and he has several very detailed blog posts on the many failures of accessibility overlays. But I wanted to cover this because security is obviously important, just like accessibility is. And it came to me because I was looking and I saw reading about the security breach, and then so that continued on into me making this presentation.